In this lesson, we're going to take a look at layers. And to get yourself started, I need you to open the fwuser._layers.png file that's located in your exercise folder. And when it opens, it's this page that we've been working with throughout this course. Now, a layer is quite distinct from a page. There are the pages. I got 3 pages in this thing. But a layer is the content that's on top of a page. Now, there are 3 layers that you'll always see. One is the web layer, and the web layer will hold slices and hotspots that you'll use when you're preparing these things for output, say to a web page. And what you can't do with this layer is delete it. You can turn it off, you can turn off its visibility, but you cannot delete it. The content is going to be found right here, and then there's always a master page layer. Now, the master page layer contains all of the stuff that's on the master page. If I turn it off, you can see all the master page stuff disappears, and you cannot delete this layer. This layer is always there, and it always sits at the bottom of the layer order. Now, let's take a look at the main layer here. So if you twirl it down, you can see that there are sublayers here. And this layer here, main, contains user groups, help, fireworks listing, top, and even main text. And if you want to find out what's in a layer, all you have to do is just select the sublayer, and you notice it's all selected. If I want to see what's in user groups, well, that's that whole area over there. And if you twirl this down, you can see that all the content in the layer is located there. Now, the great thing about using these folders or sublayers is that it keeps things organized and in one place, and it just makes it easier for you to work. Also, if you step away from the project for a few days while it's out getting approval or something like that, and you come back to it, it's a quick way of getting back into the flow of what you've done. Now, these folders can be added down here, down at the bottom of the panel. There is a new duplicate layer. So if I select the main and add a new layer, you can see that layer 5 goes above it. And if I want to add a sublayer to layer 5, all I have to do is click the sublayer button, and you can see there it is. And if I twirl it up, the layer is included, but it's just not visible. You also get masking here. You can add a bitmap image, and of course you can delete layers. So layer 5 is kind of useless, so I'm just going to delete it. So we'll get rid of that. Now, one of the things that you can do with layers is actually lock them so that if you're working away and you got stuff underneath or somewhere and you don't want to select it, you can just lock a layer. Just click the lock right there. There's the help layer locked. And if I come over to the help layer, you notice I can't click on it. Okay, so I'm going to unlock that. You can also rename layers. For instance, this main is interesting, but I'm not too sure what it means. So you can just double click it and you can give it a new name. I'm going to call this one Homepage. And you can see that the name sticks. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can move stuff around inside the layers. For instance, let's go to the help layer. You'll notice that the ring is at the top. And if I want to move the ring around, you'll notice it's over everything else. I'm going to undo that. What if I want the ring to sort of be behind? Well, I can just take that layer and move it to the bottom. And you see that black line? That tells you where it's going to go. In this example, what I want to do is just put the need help above the line and put the ring sort of below the line. So now that I've done that, you can see that I've now got a nice layering order, and it follows the way the content works down the page. Another thing you can do, which is kind of neat, is you can add opacity to an entire layer. So if I want to select this, you can see that this object is in the top layer. And again, the top layer is in the wrong place. I'm just going to take this layer and I'm just going to move it up to the top. So now I've got it in a more logical position. And you can see that by selecting the layer, everything in that layer is selected. Now, the really cool thing that you can do here is you can apply opacity to the entire layer. So if I come to the opacity slider here and move it down to 46%, you can see the entire layer has its opacity drop. But if I just want the object, the door, so I'll just click away, I can click on the door right there and reduce its opacity. Other things that I can do if I make a selection is actually change the blend mode. So if I want this to look kind of weird, I can change it to a multiply mode and darken it up and bring up even more detail in the image. Okay, I'm going to set that back to normal. Finally, One of the things you can do is select an object and move it to a different layer. For instance, let's move the door down to the user groups. And what you do is you select the layer you want, and that's what this little dot is here. And what you do is you click on this dot and you just drag it down to the layer where you want it to go. And if I open up user group, there's the door. And if I want to put the door back, just grab the dot and do it. Now, the beauty of this little technique here is that you're not cutting and pasting or copying or doing whatever. So there you go. There's working with layers in Fireworks. It's common to a lot of the Adobe applications, so you're quite used to it. And one of the big differences between this and Photoshop is these sublayers. You can nest layers deeply, which is something you really can't do to any great extent in Photoshop.